The movie opens in Halloween night, 1993. A pumpkin carving game appears to have turned deadly. A distressed reporter is seen recording himself, saying, "It killed them all," while pointing to a pumpkin. He grabs a knife from the ground and proceeds to stab the Halloween decoration, believing it to be the killer pumpkin. However, it turns out to be something else. Suddenly, a root from the pumpkin attacks and kills the reporter. Meanwhile, someone is shown peeking through the cracks of a nearby room. The scene then shifts to the morning of the same day. The story is set in a historic village called Cedars Creek. The same reporter, who is later killed, is seen describing the beauty of the village. He explains that he is there to document the village's harrowing recovery from a tragedy it faced a year earlier. The village was devastated by deadly chemicals after a train carrying toxic substances from the cyanic company derailed, causing an epidemic. The reporter approaches the general manager, Bill, and the head groundskeeper of the village, asking them to comment on the matter. Both refuse to speak, instead urging him to focus on the Pumpkin Feast Festival, which is being held to welcome visitors back to the village. The reporter persists, but Bill walks away, asking Kevin to leave with him. On stage, a group of teenagers performs a historical musical drama written by Kira. After the show, Kira finds her younger brother, Trevor. Soon, her boyfriend, Cody, joins them. Excitedly, Kira tells Cody that the presence of the press might give their group a chance to be discovered and make it to New York. Elsewhere in the village, Clint, a corn dog vendor, gets scolded by his father for neglecting the wagon. Frustrated, Clint steps outside to the pumpkin fields, where he notices an unusually large and slightly rotten pumpkin with sunken eyes. Believing it would be perfect for the evening's pumpkin carving festival, he begins cutting its roots. Later, Clint's father repairs the wagon, and Clint transports the pumpkin to Cedars Creek. Meanwhile, the same rude reporter interviews Kira and her theater group but shifts focus to her personal tragedy, asking how she felt when she lost both parents in the derailment. Heartbroken, Kira is left speechless until Bill interrupts, stating that Cody has been cast in a major musical. This news surprises Kira, who confronts Cody. He admits he planned to tell her later, but she presses him for details. He hesitantly says he would have told her in 3 weeks. Feeling betrayed, Kira storms off, upset that their shared plan to leave the town together now seems shattered. Clint arrives in the village with the pumpkin, only for Bill to angrily fire him for being late. However, Clint's friend reassures him, promising to rehire him and offering him weed to lighten his mood. Spotting the massive pumpkin, Clint's friend Wes asks if he can use it for the carving competition. Since Clint is no longer employed, he agrees. At the locker room, Kira offers her brother candies and medication for his asthma. Trevor refuses, confidently stating that he doesn't need them. She puts a pirate hat on Trevor and smears fake blood on his cheek. Trevor notices Maddie carrying a pumpkin. Seeing this, Kira offers her own pumpkin, knowing her brother has a harmless crush on Maddie. She encourages him to join the competition on her behalf. He smiles and joyfully accepts the pumpkin. It's Halloween night, and the pumpkin carving competition is about to begin. Ben, in a secret relationship with Kevin, encourages him to win the competition. They haven't revealed their relationship to anyone. Shane hosts the game, and the competition is in full swing. Everyone is cutting and carving their pumpkins, unaware that the killer pumpkin is watching them. When Wes tries to stab the killer pumpkin, its roots wrap around his hands and snap them. The pumpkin begins killing people nearby, causing everyone to panic and take cover in a room. Bill tries to contact Kevin through his walkie-talkie, but it's lying on the grass outside. Assuming Kevin is dead, Bill grows anxious. Meanwhile, Shane starts to freak out. Kira yells at him to stop talking loudly, warning that the pumpkin can hear them. Maddie theorizes that the killer pumpkin might be a mutation caused by the cyanic chemical spill. She recounts how her parents moved to the village to clean up the toxic waste, and she witnessed the contamination firsthand. Shane sarcastically applauds Maddie's parents for their efforts, then turns his frustration toward Bill, blaming him for organizing the contest and festival. Kira defends Bill, arguing that no one could have foreseen this disaster. However, Shane continues to criticize Bill, even mocking his decision to let Kira direct the play. Cody steps in to defend Kira, but tensions are high. An elderly man tries to calm everyone down, urging them not to fight. While he is speaking, the pumpkin's roots kill him on the spot, causing more panic. Barbara shuts the door to keep the pumpkin out, and the group tries to make sense of the situation. Peeking through a crack, they see the reporter being killed by the pumpkin, which throws him into electrical wires, causing a power outage. Unable to open the door, the pumpkin digs its roots into the ground, attempting to reach them. Suddenly, Bill hears Kevin's voice through the walkie-talkie. Kevin assures him that he's alive but bleeding heavily. Bill warns him that the pumpkin can hear them. Kevin asks if the walkie-talkie he dropped outside is still there. When Bill confirms it, Kevin devises a plan. He uses the walkie-talkie to loudly distract the pumpkin, which leaves the ground and moves toward the noise. Kira then asks Kevin if he has a resistance band and another walkie-talkie. Kevin looks around, finds both items, and confirms. Since Cody is the only one in the group who drove from his house, it seems they may have a plan to fight back. Kira asks Cody to retrieve the key from his locker, and they begin planning how to distract the pumpkin and get the keys. She explains that they are currently in the tool shed and need to reach Cody's truck in the parking lot. However, the truck key is locked in the staff building. Kevin, stationed in the security office, plans to use 5 walkie-talkies to distract the pumpkin, allowing Cody to retrieve the keys while the rest of the group moves toward the parking lot. Using an elastic band, Kevin throws a walkie-talkie to divert the pumpkin's attention. Meanwhile, in the tool shed, Trevor insists on accompanying Cody to the locker. Kira refuses, but Trevor dismisses her, saying he and Cody will manage no matter what. Cody silently pleads with Kira not to reveal his plans to leave for New York. When Kevin confirms the distraction is working, the group scatters. Cody runs, picks up a walkie-talkie, and updates Kevin. In the meantime, Cody opens his locker but gets distracted by a creaking door, dropping his things loudly. Kira notices Trevor has gone after Cody and finds him with him. Trevor discovers a book about living in New York and realizes Cody's plans, which sends him into a panic. Kira rushes in, grabs Trevor's asthma pills from the locker, and tries to calm him. Cody updates Kevin that Kira and Trevor are now with him. Kevin, losing a lot of blood, forgets to change the walkie-talkie channel and accidentally yells loudly at Bill, which the pumpkin hears. The group begins to run, but the noise causes Trevor to knock the keys from Cody's hand, sending them into a vent. Kira updates the group about the mishap. Barbara comes up with a plan, telling everyone to go ahead without her. She grabs the reporter's camera and heads toward the locker. Meanwhile, Bill decides to save Kevin and gives Maddie his walkie-talkie. Barbara uses the camera light to find the keys and overhears Bill and Kevin's conversation, discovering they were in a relationship. Tragically, the pumpkin kills both of them. Barbara retrieves the keys, and the group runs toward the truck. The pumpkin follows them, but Shane panics and starts yelling. The pumpkin, recalling him carving it earlier, kills him. The remaining group reaches a barn. Maddie shares a heartfelt story about how her brother taught her to play the flute, which she treasures. Trevor suddenly recalls that Clint always leaves a screwdriver key in the corn wagon. As they prepare to leave, Maddie realizes she left her flute behind and goes back to retrieve it. Cody starts the wagon, but Maddie is dragged away and killed by the pumpkin, leaving blood splattered on the floor. As the group escapes, they discover Clint hiding under a towel, stoned from the weed. Barbara reviews the footage from the reporter's camera and concludes that the pumpkin is targeting everyone who carved it during the competition. This list includes Kevin, Bill, Shane, and Maddie, all of whom are now dead. Kira breaks down, blaming herself for putting Trevor in the competition. Suddenly, the pumpkin climbs onto the wagon's roof. Clint, assuming the sound is from the engine, shoves Cody aside to take control. Frustrated with Clint's reckless behavior, Barbara grabs a knife and forces him out of the driver's seat. However, Clint loses focus and crashes the wagon into a tree. When Kira regains consciousness, she finds Trevor covered in blood, only to realize it's fake blood. Kira rushes outside to find Barbara fatally wounded. With her dying breath, Barbara encourages Kira to pursue her dream of becoming a playwright. Heartbroken, Kira returns inside. Trevor suggests they pretend to be dead so the pumpkin will leave them alone. When the pumpkin arrives, they all act lifeless, but Clint wakes up and yells, drawing the pumpkin's attention. It drags him away into the field. Determined, Kira tells Cody and Trevor she's going to the barn to seek help. She hugs them and runs off. In the barn, she encounters Clint's father and tries to warn him about the killer pumpkin, but he laughs it off. Suddenly, Clint emerges from the woods, bloody and with a pumpkin on his head. When his father shoots, the pumpkin takes control of the gun and kills him instead. Kira flees and reunites with Cody and Trevor, who came to check on her after hearing the gunshot. They discover the pumpkin field is alive due to the chemicals, and Trevor is attacked by the killer pumpkin, which wraps its roots around his throat. Kira grabs the pumpkin's offspring and threatens to stab it unless it releases Trevor. The pumpkin complies, and the group runs into the barn with the small pumpkin. Kira proposes destroying all the pumpkins in the field. They use the offspring to lure the killer pumpkin into a crusher tractor and kill it. Trevor, however, wanders into the field and is attacked by the pumpkin offspring. Maddie suddenly reappears, having survived by using herbicide to fend off the pumpkin. Together, they use the tractor to destroy all the offspring. In the final scene, Clint's severed head is shown, revealing a root-like structure emerging, hinting that an offspring has survived and may seek revenge.